Hello everybody. Last class we started talking about low effort consumer decision making. We discussed unconscious or just a little conscious cognitive tactics consumers use to simplify their life and take a shortcut and spend as little time and as little effort as possible to make purchase and consumption decisions. Today we turn to the emotional, affective side of this decision making. One of the most important clues for customers in low effort situation is a price. Because relying on a price is so much easier. Instead of comparing all variety of attributes, hundreds and hundreds, and weighting all the brands on number of attributes, why don't use just one? Especially for those offerings, those brands and alternatives that are hardly comparable. They have completely different sets of attributes, but they all have a price. So price is one of the most important clues for consumers. In the essence, consumers belong to one of two big groups: deal-prone or deal-seeking customers and brand-loyal. On average, brand-loyal customers are ready to pay more because their brand loyalty allows them to save time and effort on information search and alternative evaluation. This is value. Simply making their life simpler and decision-making faster is valuable. And brand-loyal consumers are willing to pay for this value just a little extra. While deal-prone consumers turn around and walk away. They just follow the lowest possible price, the best deal they can find. One of the examples attached to this class is a video case of Taco Bell. What was very hard for them is that their heaviest users, they considered their most loyal consumers who used to eat at Taco Bell the most, were the most price sensitive at the same time. That's a hard situation. Consumers are looking for better deals. First of all, to save money, obviously, but also to feel good about themselves. Consumers feel proud of how smart they are when they manage to find a better deal for the same product. For us as marketers at the same time, the trick is to convince them that the offering is not the same, it's better. That's why it can cost more. When we are on a business side, price should be as high as possible at all times. Because a profit margin represents only a tiny share of a price. As low as 1% of a price is a company profit. Everything else is cost. So for many companies, giving a 1% discount means sacrificing all of their profits and going under. That's not what we want. So we need, as businesses, we need to push prices up. We need to increase prices all the time. The highest possible price level at every particular situation. But there is a limit to that because consumers have a zone of acceptance, a bracket within which they make a decision. And price can be also used to break free from a habitual purchase. For example, if consumers used to buy certain brand of pet food, They always buy, just grab it and walk out of the store without thinking, without looking around. If we want to introduce a new brand to the market and compete with incumbents, one of the nudges we could use is a price. Give extremely low price, or give consumers, even better, give them something for free to break free from their habit. But it's dangerous because at some point you got to increase the price and get them pay. And as you remember from prospect theory, consumers hate price increases. Having a range of acceptance means that consumers wouldn't buy anything above their maximum willingness to pay, above the higher ceiling of what they're willing to pay. But at the same time, they can be suspicious about lower prices. If the price is too low, they can start thinking something is wrong about this product. So we got to fit the price into their acceptance range. Noted that consumers in many cases do not remember prices. Yep, that's right. If I asked you how much your box of cereal costs, if I asked you how much you paid for your car, exactly how much? Do you remember? That's a big purchase, huge thing. We buy it like once in a few years. Do you remember? How much exactly? Chances are you don't. I don't. I would need to find the invoice in my email to answer that question. It is because prices are so easily available. There is no need for consumers to remember them. The same way, pretty often consumers do not remember any information about product attributes. When we discussed memory, we mentioned that for many consumers, it's hard or next to impossible to remember particular attributes, like exact gall mileage of different car models. What they do remember is how it felt, the feeling, emotions. Did they love it? Did they enjoy it? That's what matters in the end. For many consumers, all we remember is a feeling. And feeling is a part of a brand. It's one of the associations, one of the meanings embedded in a brand. Brands use it for brand extension. When they launch new product lines under the same brand umbrella, what they trying to do? They're trying to give customers a clue to recall those feelings beyond product attributes, because it's a new product line. Its attributes are completely different from previous product lines, from previous experiences with these brands. If you previously purchased a Harley-Davidson motorcycle, it doesn't give you any particular information about how Harley-Davidson beef jerky will be. Will it good or not? It's absolutely completely different thing, right? Emotions. That's what sticks. We discussed how consumers stick with the same product for different reasons. For habit, for brand loyalty, but sometimes they consciously and intentionally break free and go away from their habitual choices. They want to try something new. Not because it's better. They don't know. They haven't tried it yet. And they ain't going to do any research at all. Sometimes we buy Sprite just because it's not Coke. And we don't want Coke anymore. Sometimes we try a new sort of ice cream, or we buy a new phone brand, or try a different internet provider. Just to try something new, learn something new. People are curious beings. They want to explore around. They want to find and react to new stimuli, new situations. Especially when they get bored, when they just tired of doing the same thing every day. Many events not only in consumer behavior, but also in the current social and political life have very simple explanation. People just bored and tired of sitting at home. That's why they do all the crazy things they do. But variety seeking exists only in a few categories, mostly in low-cost categories, where there is no risks involved. Like we try different sort of ice cream just out of curiosity. If we don't like it, so what? We stick with familiar brand for a while, then try something new again. There is no risk to lose anything. A particular type of low effort purchases are impulse purchases. Purchases made out of momentous, unbearable move, emotional desire to get it for no conscious reason. Notice how we discussed the value of a product is a difference between benefits consumers get from this purchase and costs associated and pains and losses associated with this purchase. So when consumers make impulse purchases, they disregard costs, losses, and negative consequences for good. They do not think about it. They do not think about is it worth it or not. They focus on benefits, and some pretty often overinflated benefits. More often than not, people regret it later. This intense, momentous desire to buy something you don't really need creates euphoria and excitement. This is a sort of variety seeking also. People often buy something new, something they usually don't, and they feel excited about it until they don't. Most of the time, we exercise some kinds of self-control. We think about how we behave, and we keep ourselves in line. We keep telling ourselves what to do, what we're supposed to do, and what we're not supposed to do. But this self-control is a resource. It consumes energy. It requires mental effort. So when we're tired, or we're hungry, or we're depressed, we are low on energy, and we don't have power to retain, to keep up this self-control work. So we discontinue it and indulge ourselves in buying something. About half of people have experienced buying something out of pure excitement or sadness and anger. And the most characteristic, the most typical of all it, about 10% of all consumers, including 13% of male and 5% of female consumers, have purchased something in the last few months just because they were intoxicated. That's a big deal, especially in the holiday season. Up to 10% of all purchases on Amazon are being made by drunk consumers. How do you market to people who cannot read? And pretty often, consumers make purchases not because they want it, but because others want it, or because consumers think that others would want it. That's called social influence or normative influence. There is a norm that we strive to follow. That's called conformity. And all humans are conformists. We conform to the requirements of majority because it's simpler. And as I mentioned at the beginning of our class, simpler is equal to happier. We want to be happy, so we do what other people want from us, just to get over it and do what makes us happy. I have attached a couple examples of famous experiments on conformity and obedience that shows that people are really flexible in complying with powerful figures, with authority, and with peer pressure. They not only do what others expect from them. They change their perception. They see and hear what others expect them to see and hear. But there is a catch. It only works in low involvement. Consumers only comply with others when they don't have much motivation and opportunity to make their own decision. Just like this girl in the comics. She changes her skirt and yoga pants to a pair of jeans only because they really doesn't matter for her. Consumers comply with normative influences from others only when they don't have their opinion and they don't have motivation to make their own decision. When they do have motivation, they stand up. So today we discussed emotional, affective side of low effort decision making, how consumers react to nudges like social influence, price, or pleasant memories to make decisions without really making any decisions.